Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and Mike Jones is with us as well. Hello, Mike.
Good evening, Dale. This seems to be a one-topic show.
It is that. This what we would normally do at this time has changed a little bit because the story has changed. Let me bring you up to speed right away for those who don't know. There may be a few people who don't know. This notice from the Eugene Police Department, case number 1520969, December 10 at approximately 11:06 p.m. A police officer was traveling westbound on West 11th Avenue in Eugene, approaching Oak Patch Road, when a Toyota Tundra pickup pulled out of a driveway directly in front of the officer, which caused the officer to brake aggressively to avoid crashing into the vehicle. The officer stopped the vehicle and contacted the driver regarding an illegal left turn onto West 11th and arrested Simon Gabriel Edward Hare, age 37, of Grants Pass for DUI and reckless driving. Mike?
Yes, and a little bit later here today, this story broke this morning, and perhaps Dale could tell us a little bit more about that, because Dale was talking to Bill Meyer and was on the Bill Meyer show and learned about this. How did that happen, Dale?
Well, I have a regular feature, not a call-in, but a regular feature on the Bill Meyer show on KMED every morning at 6:35.
Every Monday morning, you mean?
That's what I meant to say. Every Monday morning at 6:35. And so they call me and they say, will you tell us, please, the news from Josephine County? Because that's what we do at badcounty.com. We cover that subject, especially the county commissioners and now the Grants Pass City Council. And when I got on there with them, it was to talk about the commissioners kicking off Levy 2016. And also, because we caught them doing that on tape, they're denying it, of course. And also their newest plan, the commissioner's newest plan, to hire someone to write happy, positive stories about them and place them into local media. And if the local media won't take the stories, then they're considering buying advertising space to make sure that they can control the media. And they want to spend economic development funds because people who are happy with their county commissioners will be happy with the economic development of the county.
Yeah,
so, and go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because you're not done with the story.
No. So while I was on there, apparently somebody texted Bill Meyer of the Bill Meyer Show and said, did you know this? And he didn't know it, that this had just happened. That was before 7 o'clock this morning. So I said I would look immediately into it. I did. I called him back with some more details. And we've been going hard at it since before 7 o'clock this morning. I had my first bite to eat just a few minutes ago. So this is all that we've been doing. Let me also mention, there are a number of things that are happening and covering this story that apparently some of our local media, it just is not occurring to them. Well, you've heard this kind of thing before. And one of them is when you hear from the police there in Eugene that this driver, it was Simon Hare, had made an illegal left turn onto West 11th Street in Eugene. Where was he leaving? I said to them, well, was that a residence? Is it a business? And they said, oh, that's the Silver Dollar Strip Club. The Silver Dollar Strip Club on 11th Street in Eugene describes itself as a gentleman's club. I talked to the people there. They haven't been contacted by anybody else, just us. And they described their location as tucked behind a motorcycle shop. Right. They are proud of their First Amendment rights, and they feel that gentlemen can come there and enjoy themselves. Well, it's not much of a guess to say, according to them, this fellow did not look drunk when he walked in the door. Well, you never really know. So let's be clear about everything. However, when he left there, he was inebriated. So much so that he almost ran into a police vehicle. This is a big mistake, to almost run into a police vehicle. At that
Generally,
point,
yes.
he refused to take a breathalyzer test. I'm not sure you'll see that in any of the other media. We contacted everybody about this. And while it's been a little bit of a challenge to see who was going to get to the information first, every time I talk to someone, for the police or the booking people, the jail people, the court people, everybody that we could, the gentleman's club, everyone we could get our hands on, what I said is, we spend about a quarter of our time here at badcounty.com dispelling rumors that are untrue. So I want to be sure that we get the story right. When we're guessing, we'll tell you that we're guessing. And when we've got the information directly from the sources, we'll tell you that, okay? So Simon Gabriel Edward Hare was booked into the Lane County Jail at 2:15 a.m. Remember that the stop was made at 11:06 p.m. out in front of the strip club, where he refused to take the breathalyzer test and he almost ran into a police officer. 3 hours later, and I asked him, I said, is that the typical amount of time? They said, yeah, it is. 3 hours later, he was booked into the Lane County Jail. Now, it was arrest by the Eugene City Police Department, and it was booked into the Lane County Jail, which is somewhat similar to what's happening here. He was charged under 8-13010, which is driving under the influence of intoxicants, and also charge 8-11-140, which is reckless driving. They didn't charge him for anything about not refusing to take the breathalyzer test. So I said to them, well, let me see if I can paint a picture. You tell me what's happening here. So I'll give you the best that I can based on what all of them have said. At that time of night, why was Simon Hare there in the first place? Okay. Well, what we know is that Simon Hare said on Thursday morning, or the admin session, the administration session in the commissioner's boardroom, they're even now calling it the little back room. He was there and he said to the other commissioners that he was going to a meeting of the Association of ONC Counties, Oregon and California counties. These are the counties that get together and say, the federal government owes us money. What are we going to do about it?
And that conversation took place on the same day as the video that we've been showing over the past couple of days, where they're talking about setting up a PR person to write 500 words every month promoting the commissioners.
The individual commissioners, that's right.
Right.
And this isn't saying what wonderful streams and lakes and trees we have. This is saying positive things about the leadership capabilities of our commissioners, and using economic development money to say that. Well, by coincidence, two of the commissioners are running for office, and we said at the time, and Simon Hare is running to be vice president of the Association of ONC Counties. Now, our source for him saying he was going is, I was there, and he said it in a public meeting. Then Simon checked out of our county. Our source for this is the county commissioner's office. And he said, I'm going to go up and appear tomorrow, which would be Friday, a couple of days ago. And I'm going to the Association of ONC Counties. Simon Hare is, according to the ONC website, was until just recently the secretary treasurer of ONC, of the Association of ONC Counties. They were slated to talk about having Simon Hare become the vice president, not vice chair, has been reported, vice president of the ONC Counties Association. Well, he never showed up for that meeting because he was in jail.
Right.
Now, an interesting turn of events with that is, of course, we also talk with the Association of ONC Counties. They were oddly contacted by a fellow that's been jumping in and out of this story and just about every opportunity and yelling at people and causing a bit of turmoil here and there. This fellow is a candidate for county commissioner, and he also will sometimes be a little aggressive in gathering information. Let's put it that way. And so a couple of places where the two places that had heard from anybody else were a little reluctant to talk to anyone else. And they said, who the heck is this guy? And I said, oh, we know him well. And that's just him, but I'm not going to be like that. Oh, well, okay. Of all the places we contacted, only 2 of them said they had been contacted by anybody at all. And I don't mean the strip joint. I mean everybody else. They hadn't been contacted. So we're a little bit out ahead of the story. And so he was supposed to show up at this meeting of the Association of O&C Counties, and he never showed. Well, they took the vote anyway. Simon Hare is now the new vice president of the Association of O&C Counties.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a couple of details I found out just a few minutes ago, and Mike didn't know that one. We've been exchanging information all day.
I'll tell you, I mean, that is disturbing because, listen, there isn't any question. Simon is an intelligent guy. He is very articulate. He learns the subject matter that he speaks on very well. He speaks very fluently, and so. But this situation, it's not that somebody who's an alcoholic can't perform at sometimes quite well, but the problem is that when somebody's an alcoholic and they drink every day, and they are going to be influenced a lot of the time, whether they appear to be or not, by alcohol. And so you don't know what, I mean, when he's considering legislation, is this guy straight, or does he have a little bit of a buzz on? We don't know. And that bothers me, because the ONC and the future of whatever happens with that organization may have a huge factor, maybe a huge factor in the local economy here.
So, now, you're going to see, based on what Mike just said, that we're going to tell you the facts that we know, cold, hard facts. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about what it means. That's what we do on this show. Okay. So one of the things that bothers me is that he was there representing us. He was on county business. That's why he was in Eugene. He went up the night before, and usually these meetings are held in the same hotel where you're booked. So there's alcohol usually in the refrigerator, or they've got a bar at the location of the hotel.
Yeah.
So instead, he's there on county business, and he goes to a strip club in downtown Eugene.
Yeah.
And then he's going to drive back to the hotel.
Theoretically, yes.
Now, based on what we've heard so far, and these things can change, it's obvious. He walked into the bar, as far as they know, not drunk. So you can't say that he made a bad decision, like refusing a breathalyzer test, please, when he walked into the strip joint. This changes the whole tenor of this, because there's been a number of churches already that have said, hey, Simon Hare does things occasionally, but we're praying for him, and, he's a good Christian boy, and etc. It kicks this story into another category when he was at a strip bar, and that's where he was drinking.
Yeah.
And you can't say, well, that was based on the alcohol. Probably not.
Yes, that's right. Well, it depends. I mean, maybe had a buzz going before he arrived there.
That's a possibility. Because, we sometimes can't tell.
Yeah, an alcoholic can, they're usually get pretty good at maintaining. Now, I don't know if he's the kind of alcoholic who has to have a drink every day. I've known alcoholics that had to get up in the middle of the night and drink.
Yeah.
So I don't know what category that Simon fits into, although I have heard through the grapevine here that he has a history of it that precedes his government service here.
We know that. Let me just say one more thing about. He did issue a press release. He issued a press release saying that this happened. So based on our show that we saw yesterday with the image consultant from Portland, an image consultant from Portland, who advised that they try to get out ahead of stories that are bad. It may be based on that, but he issued a press release. We've never seen him do anything like this before. And he said, yes, this happened. And it may also be because of some of the things that happened this morning at 6:35. Okay. And stuff that we've been putting out all day long about this, trying to put out only the facts that we know, for example, from the police department, only what we know, not laughing, not making fun of it, just here's what we know. It was very difficult to find the mugshot, for example. For some reason, they didn't post the mugshot like they usually do. Why would they not do it? Well, it's up to your conjecture. Is it because he's a Josephine County commissioner? We don't know. Okay.
I noticed on that webpage that there were other mugshots that weren't posted that had the same generic, slide in there as Simon's did.
That can happen. Yes. I asked them if it was a factor of time, and they said, no, it's not. Okay. All right. But one of the things that he said in this letter of apology, he started off with, commissioner to enter rehab, not commissioner arrested, but commissioner to enter rehab, which is, if you're going to write that kind of letter, that's a good twist to put on there. Oh, look, here's something positive, instead of why it was happening. But one of the things he said in there is, this will not affect my performance. Now, hold on a second. Kjo, who just printed it, and the Courier that took it, and KTVL over in Medford that printed it. What do you mean it's not going to affect his performance? One, you don't know. But the other thing is, it already has. Because did he go to the Association of ONC Counties or not? No, he could not attend because he was in jail.
Right. And he was there representing us, and so it has in no small way. He was being elected vice president of ONC. That's just amazing to me. That's amazing.
All right, so he enters, and we're telling you what we know. He enters into the system at 11:06. They handcuff him, and they put him in the back of the police cruiser. At this time, they can't confirm whether there was one officer or two. We know there was one. We don't know if there was two. Apparently, there was no one else in the car. So those people have been, was there a girl in the car? No, apparently not. No, the girls were in the strip joint. Okay. We're assuming they were girls in the strip joint.
Oh, man.
Yeah, stop it.
Jeez.
Okay. So, yeah, right. Well, it was behind a biker. Anyway.
Now what are you saying here?
Now. Okay. All right. So
you could find yourself in a heap of trouble.
Yes, right. I up with chains. I get it. So it depends whether you like that or not. Okay. So now he's in the back of the police vehicle, and they take him over to the jail to book him in. He would not take a breathalyzer test. Once you enter that jail facility, you're going to take a breathalyzer test. Okay. And so they went through that whole procedure. Then he spent the night in jail. County Commissioner Simon Hare.
Now, wait a minute. When you say that he took that he refused a breathalyzer test
on the location near the car.
Okay, did they get a breathalyzer from him at some point in the jail?
Yes.
Because if you refuse a breathalyzer test in the jail, they will strap you onto a gurney and draw your blood.
Right.
So
I don't think he was going to have any of that. We don't know whether he spent his time in a jail cell with other criminals, because this is a criminal offense. Here's a little editorializing again. When this kind of thing first happened, we said, now, okay, if this guy's going to skate, well, I don't like that, but just be careful because he's going to do it again. We predicted that. And I just hope nobody gets killed. Apparently,
Right.
according to the report, it came dang close to someone getting in big trouble, and it could have been the police officer.
Right.
So he spent the night in jail, and at 11 o'clock the next morning, he was arraigned in front of Judge Karen Stennert. Court cases 17270 and 17273. According to the Eugene Municipal Court, this took place in the jail. There is a special, not via closed circuit TV, but there's or video through the internet, but there's a jail right there, and Judge Karen Stennard was there. According to the Eugene Municipal Court, a representative from the law firm of Rasta and Connolly was present with Mr. Hare at the time of his appearance on Friday. Who are Rasta and Connolly? Rasta and Connolly are criminal defense lawyers in Eugene. So, of course, I called them. According to them, we're the only people who've called them. Their reaction was not very pleasant. And I said, I'm not trying to get any information out of you that you can't say. I'm just wondering, did you have somebody there representing Mr. Hare? Here's how the conversation went. Did you do that? Quote, we do not represent him. Oh, I said, then the court document must be wrong. Correct.
Well, there you go. And I guess they don't have to tell you anything.
No, they don't need to, but I'm not asking him, is he guilty, innocent, this, that, or the other thing. I'm just saying, did you have somebody there? I'm trying to confirm this.
Yeah.
It's nice to have two sources.
I get where they wouldn't say anything to you.
They could say we represented him and we sent Joe Jones over there to do it. Sorry, Mike. He must return because you're Mike Jones. He must return on Monday, December 28th. Monday, December 28th for the plea hearing. Mike has a pretty strong opinion about how good it is, what a great idea it is to try to defend yourself when they've got a breathalyzer test on you. Go ahead.
Oh,
Mike.
and I just talked about this the other night on the show. You know, I had neighbors and acquaintances. I worked in construction, and you know, occasionally you run into people who drink in construction, oddly enough. And I knew people who had gotten DUIs, and I also just happened to know that the people that I knew who had been arrested for DUI had also fought back against it using attorneys, and that is a waste of time. If you blow over the limit, which is, you know, at the time was 0.08, I don't know what it is here. I believe it's the same. So if you blow over that, it's over. You're guilty. And any amount of money that you're throwing at an attorney, and, you know, and then I'm assuming that you're going to go to trial or something if you're having an attorney. So you're going to be paying court fees and things of that nature as well. And, you know, you can get into it 20, 30, 40 grand if you want to. And I knew a guy who did that. And he never, even years later, the guy never would go back and look at, here's what you would have paid had you not fought it and just said, hey, you got me, I'm guilty. And here's what I mean, we're talking 20, 30 grand sometimes in between these two numbers. And so it's a foolish thing, I think, to hire an attorney to represent you in a DUI case. I may be completely wrong on that, but I'm just going by what I've seen.
Well, now for the sharper viewers that we have, what happened to his vehicle? Because they're obviously not going to let him drive behind the police officer to go off to jail.
Oh,
so,
I would assume they'd impound it.
Right. So I did get confirmation from them that they did impound his vehicle, and then he had to retrieve it. After the 11 o'clock appearance before Judge Stennard, he left the jail facility at just before 3 p.m. on Friday, a little late to go to the Association of O&C Counties meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to the head people over there, to Rocky McVeigh, the executive director That's going to make some people blanch that I talk with Rocky McVeigh. And I said, so the first thing I said to him is, you obviously know what's happened to Simon Hare. Yes. And why he couldn't attend your meeting. Well, they know by now. Yes, I didn't need to tell them. And the Association of ONC Counties, their motto is promises to keep. Okay. Tony Hyde is their president. Simon Hare has been their secretary-treasurer for a while now. Doug Bridenthal, who recently got into trouble in Jackson County, is the representative from Jackson. And I talked to Rocky McVeigh and I said, so what's likely to happen next, sir? What effect will this have on Josephine County? Well, they're going to have a meeting the first week of January, or second week of January, and they are going to invite Simon Hare to come. Well, he's the
vice president.
New vice president, and allow him to make a presentation to the executive board about what he wants to do.
And is that the only thing? Does what he wants to do have any bearing on what they do going forward?
Well, I believe that the head of the staff for the Association of ONC Counties is not going to answer that question. But my guess would be that that word is probably spread as quickly as it did here, and that the individual members are going to have some pretty strong feelings about whether Simon should be kept on at all costs or whether he should ask to leave.
Right. And well, listen, and it may be the first that any of them have heard about this type of behavior on Simon's part. And so they may think, hey, a DUI, anybody can get caught with a DUI. That's no big deal. Sometimes it happens. And they may be, inclined to overlook it, as opposed to us who know that this is a part of a habitual cycle.
Well, this is, I think, pretty clearly strike three for Simon Hare. He can, I think, sometimes be referred to as a Teflon commissioner, but we all know that if you scratch up Teflon enough, things are going to stick to it. So here's the first example.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. That looked like a complete dropout for Dale there. I have a frozen screen, so I don't know what you see. I see a frozen screen. That's unfortunate. Maybe he can drop and come back into it here, hopefully. And while we're waiting for that, I'll show you guys. I put up a survey a little bit earlier today, asking a few questions about Simon Hare. Should he resign? If he doesn't resign, should he be recalled? And let me just show you the results of that survey right now. And this is thus far. This is right before the program. I got these results, and it is basically 78% responded to this question. Does Simon Hare's apparent alcohol addiction and string of recent related incidents make him ineligible to represent the citizens of Josephine County? Strongly agree, 78%. Agree, 10%. So that's, you got, basically 88% thinking that he's really ineligible to represent us. Neutral on that, 1.2%. Disagree, 2.4%. Strongly disagree, 7.2%. And then, should Simon Hare resign? Strongly agree, 81%. Agree, 6%. Neutral. I don't know how people vote neutral on this stuff. 4.8%. Disagree, 1.2%. Strongly disagree, 6%. So, there are people on both sides of this, but it's odd that the ratios are very, very similar. Oh, is Dale back?
Looks like I am.
Oh, anyway, so the ratios on here are very, very similar to to the sales tax vote and how that went. So anyway, here, let me just finish this survey up here. And so if Simon Hare does not resign, should he be recalled? 74% agree with that, or strongly agree with it, I should say. And nearly 5% agree. Neutral, 8.4% that are neutral on that. Should he resign? Should he recall? I don't care. And disagree, 3.6%, strongly disagree, 8%. So you've got basically, 8, 10, 11% of people don't agree that he should be recalled. And I kind of understand that this, a recall is sort of a, it's one of those processes that sort of tears everything apart, and now you have to go spend a lot of time figuring out who you're going to put back in there. Okay. And that was basically the substance of it. Dale, you
yes,
still
sir.
with us?
I am there with you. Now, I have a tough question to ask you, Mike. I haven't asked you this question.
Oh, okay.
Why is it that we've been saying over the past couple of years, I've been saying in the past couple of years, we've been saying on the show that the polls conducted by the Daily Courier are complete fakes. They're shams. They're pretend polls.
Well, essentially, because you could vote in them as many times as you want to. And this now, our survey, I'm sure could be, you could pull a fast one on this survey as well. However, it does lock your IP out once you take the survey. That's it. You can take it one time and you can't take it again. Now, theoretically speaking, there are ways around that, and we won't get into that.
You could go to someone else's computer.
Yeah. I suppose
there are many different names, but nobody's doing that.
Right? No, they aren't. And this is I think people really want to know what these results are, and so far I can tell who has taken it because they're basically, a lot of people are giving us their contact information, telling us who they are when they're taking the test. So it's fairly reliable that this is legit information. And I'm looking forward to what this survey looks like in a couple of days. And if it still reflects the way it does.
Right, we're not going to reveal that information. We'll reveal the results, but not your names. We're not going to do that, right? That's just not who we are.
Yeah.
Well, what I was started to say is that this is not the first time that this has happened. Now, this is a copy of First Friday newspaper. We used to publish this every month on the first Friday. And it became very, very popular, a newspaper without advertising, which might sound familiar. And we had gotten up to the point where it became so popular that we were printing thousands and thousands and thousands of copies. And we made a deal with Safeway where they were putting them in every shopping bag, every bag. That's a lot of newspapers. And but it just broke my heart. We finally stopped doing it because a representative from the Courier was coming by sometimes twice a day to steal them and throw them away. So I didn't know that. I thought, boy, these are going fast. They're all gone. And so I confronted the guy nicely as I could. And I said, what are you doing, bud? And he said, well, this is competition. And I said, but we don't have any advertising. So I did talk with the management at the Courier, and they decided to do nothing. It was too expensive to do it. It's coming out of my pocket.
How do you go and steal somebody's newspapers? And then when they ask you why you did it, you go, oh, well, your competition. Well, if that's okay to do that, listen, I should steal from other people that are in the business of renting commercial space because, you're my competition. So, if I make your building look bad or something like that, maybe that's better for me.
Well, what he said to me finally is, once you drop these off, they no longer belong to you. And so I'm taking them, all of them. That's the Daily Courier.
Oh.
That's why we started badcounty.com. Okay, so this front page article, it was a special, I hope I'm not going to drop out.
Don't turn to that side.
It was a special 3-page. Oh boy.